What's up, everybody? It's Friday morning, so you know what that means. Today, we are going to be doing another episode of Coffee and Celtics. It's your boy, Greg Menakis. I'm joined by Alex Gonzalez. Will is still out. So just so you know, we should have some coverage for you after game 3 of the Celtics versus the Knicks. That game is at 2:30 Eastern or 3:30 Eastern, Alex?
3:30 Eastern.
3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central.
Yep.
And we should have some coverage for you right after that game. But we're going to play the
Hopefully.
intro, and then we'll get into another episode of Coffee and Celtics. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Greg Menakis checking in. How you doing? How you living? I'm joined today by Alex Gonzalez, the video intern of Green with Envy, is here for another episode of Coffee and Celtics. Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm doing better than I was 2 nights ago. So, you know.
Yeah. Do you want to start with some just venting? Maybe 2 minutes of venting before we get into passing the rock?
Yeah, I mean, I actually wasn't able to watch the game. I was at a Metallica concert. They came to Virginia Tech. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I thought they were going to win. A classic. They were up, 18, 20 points again. And I get texts from my mom, and they're like, "Oh, Celtics doing good." And I was like, "Yeah, still time." And they just slowly blow the game. I don't know. I went through every shot that they missed in between Peyton Pritchard's three-pointer he made at 8:40 and Tatum's dunk with 18 seconds left. And I'd say about 60% of them were good looks. So, I mean, part of it is bad shot selection, but the other part is you just have to knock down practice shots, and that's really it. You have to knock down open threes and open layups. And I mean, at least my personal opinion is no one thinks the Knicks are a better team than the Celtics, and they are currently. Even after these 2 games, I still have confidence that they'll win, but the confidence has definitely dwindled.
So the Celtics back in 2017 had a similar situation, obviously not as good of a team. This was one of the first Isaiah Thomas teams where they surprised everybody, and they, I think they're a 1 seed or a 2 seed, and they're going up against Rajon Rondo, Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and that Bulls team. And they end up losing games 1 and 2 at home. So they lost game 1, 106-102. Game 2, 111-97, and it felt like the sky was falling on Celtics Nation. And everybody out there, if you remember, there was a huge adjustment that was made between game 2 and game 3, where Gerald Green, Celtics legend, Gerald Green of all 9 fingers, Brad Stevens decided to insert him off from a DNP, games 1 and 2, into the starting lineup. And it was a huge adjustment. Obviously, Rondo got hurt in game 2, so that was a big part of the reason why the Celtics ended up coming back and winning 4 straight in that series. But there was this adjustment that was made in order to kind of usher in this new era of small ball within the Boston Celtics. And one thing that I was wondering, Alex, before we get into passing the rock here, is do you think there's an adjustment that Joe Mazzulla can make with personnel that is somewhat analogous to what Brad Stevens did by inserting Gerald Green into that lineup?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if there's a certain bench player that we could just throw in the lineup and expect him to just change the game, I guess. I don't really think it's a certain player. I just think overall you have to make open shots. The Celtics are shooting 25% from 3 or something like that, or Tatum shooting 25% from 3.
They're 25 for 100. Yeah, 25 for 100 through 2 games.
Yes, bad shots, and yes, they get a little 3-point happy, but at the same time, you have to make those open threes, and there was at least 5 of them in that fourth quarter they just missed. And part of that is bad luck, but also it's you gotta knock them down. This is your identity, and this is now back-to-back games where you can't make open threes. I don't believe the Knicks are defending the 3-pointer well at all. They aren't. They're just getting lucky. So,
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I know I was talking with Liptak, who was on here, the Knicks fan friend that we have. We had a men's league game last night, and he's chirping now. Like, as cordial as we were on that podcast, he
Yeah,
now believes that his team is better. The Knicks haven't played well, which I agree with. The Knicks, I don't
yeah,
think the Knicks have played well through 2 games. The Celtics have just shot the bed after both of the games. And when I think about that lineup adjustment, there's an argument that it was already made, right? Al Horford
yeah,
starting over Kristaps Porzingis, which just did not go well. I was listening to a little bit of Bill Simmons' podcast where he was talking with his dad, who's in, longtime
yeah,
season ticket holder and was in the building. And he said Porzingis just looked sick. He looked ill, which is a little scary, right? We saw a little bit more of Luke Cornett in game 2. Still not seeing quite enough of Peyton Pritchard, in my opinion. I think maybe that's something we just play Pritchard an
yeah,
extra 5 minutes in the game. I don't know if that's the answer. But it's just one thing I've been thinking about is what can we learn from the past and past successes of the Celtics team to, climb back in a series in which we're down 2-0. All right, we're going to get into passing the rock here. So let me just play this little intro and then passing the rock. Oh, by the way, I forgot. See, this is why we need Will, Alex. Coffee and Celtics is brought to you by Wood Island Media, our sponsor that actually brought us Alex. So shout out to Wood Island Media. My college roommate, Steve Yee, is doing big things out there in LA. I watched Steve, make his student films at BC. I acted in a bunch of them, and now he's out there working with the likes of Chrissy Teigen, the Kardashians. He's done some work for GQ. So he's a big time celebrity branded content creator, content producer out there in LA. So shout out to Wood Island Media for bringing us Alex and for sponsoring the show. We're going to get into another episode of Passing the Rock.
You guys ready?
What's the plan, Bobby?
We're winging it, Jerry.
Yeah! I got the rock now! I got this motherfucker now! What? Fuck you, man!
My favorite part about that clip is when he says, "We're winging it, Jerry," because that's exactly what I feel like I'm doing without Will, just completely winging it when I'm out here. Back when I first started this podcast, I was the host and Will was a guest. And within 2 episodes, I was like, dude, you're clearly the better host. Why don't you just become the host and I'll become the coach of the pod, as Will refers to me as. All right, Alex, passing the rock. I'm going to kick it to you first. What do you got for me?
I posted this on my Celtics Instagram yesterday, but I thought it was important just to bring up again. Just the amount of time each team has been leading the game throughout this series. The Celtics have been leading for an hour and 20 minutes, 81 minutes and 4 seconds. And
Yep.
the Knicks have been leading for 12 minutes and 15 seconds. But that doesn't seem to matter because at the end of the day, it's the final score and the Knicks are up 2-0. So that was my first stat.
And that, that speaks to your point that you were saying earlier that most people still agree that the Celtics are the better team, right? Nobody out there is like, oh yeah, the Knicks are definitely better. They're more talented and whatnot. But this kind of brings me to one of the things that I wanted to bring up to you is how many players in this series do you think are top 5 players in this series that are on the Celtics team so far through 2 games?
Like the way they've been playing?
Yeah, just the way they've been playing.
I don't know. I actually.
So here's what I'm thinking. Best player in this series, you tell me if you agree. I think it's been OG Anunoby. Agree or disagree? Yeah. Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
Second best player in this series, although I don't think he's particularly played that well, his moments have been big enough to put him at the number 2 spot, and I think that's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Agree. Okay. Third best player in the series, I think there's a real argument to be made that it's either Drew Holiday for what he's done guarding Jalen Brunson, because he's been great for most of the game guarding Jalen Brunson, or Karl Anthony Towns. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I probably lean Drew. I don't know. Towns is. Also, I'd like to throw Bridges in there, even though he hasn't played the best. He's closed out those last 2 games. Really.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So let's say Bridges is the third best player, right, in this series so far.
Yeah.
Fourth best player, we'll go Drew. Fifth best player, we go Towns.
Yeah.
The fact that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are not in the top 5 is very alarming,
Yeah,
to say the least,
definitely.
if you're a Celtics fan, right? And for the Celtics to come back and overcome this 2-0 deficit, obviously they've been one of the best road teams all year. They haven't played particularly well at home. We need those two guys to step up.
Yep.
And, their comments in the pressers have been exactly what you want to hear. Jason Tatum taking ownership, Jaylen Brown talking about how we just need to be better. After game 1, I thought, we were going to see that from those two guys. And to give Tatum credit, he's been rebounding the hell out of the ball. I think he's averaging 15 rebounds a game through the first 2 games. But we need them to be superstars, and right now they haven't been superstars.
No, they have not. They have not been superstars, and it's been disappointing. After Tatum's performance in that whole series against Orlando, where he averaged like 31.7 or whatever against one of the best defenses in the league, and then to play a team that he dominated in the regular season, it's just to see him struggle like this much. I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing. I would say, yeah, so far the Celtics' performances, especially from those two, have been extremely disappointing.
Right. And then also Derek White, we didn't mention him in the top 5 there, right? And the Jays and Derek White are our 3 best players.
Yeah.
And I thought that, when I did the pod with LibTac, I said for the Knicks to have a chance, Mikal Bridges needs to outplay Derek White. And that's happened so far, in my opinion, right? So I think everything that needed to go right for the Knicks, all the breaks that they needed to catch for the first 2 games have happened at this point. Not to take anything away from them because they went out and earned it. They stole those 2 games in Boston, but I still think there's, a very real likelihood that the Celtics still have the better team and still can turn it on at any point. All right, Alex, what you got? Rock is yours.
I'll lean into the Knicks, and their ability to close quarters has been a lot better than the Celtics, especially last game. So in the final 3 minutes of each quarter last game, the Celtics, they had 15 points. They shot 5 for 22, 22.7%, and had 7 turnovers. For the Knicks, they had 29 points, shot 52% from the field, 11 for 21, and only turned the ball over 4 times. Closing quarters is almost as important or more important than the first 9 minutes of a quarter. Like, can change the game, change the momentum. And the Knicks have just been better at that than the Celtics throughout those first 2 games.
Agreed. Yeah, Dick Lipe had a good stat. If you go to @Steve B Hoop, Steve Bulpett, who covers the Celtics, he always kind of puts together a good summary of all the Dick Lipe stats from each game. So he has 33-9 second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter over the last 5 minutes of each of those quarters. Celtics were down 33-9 in that.
Yep.
So not great. They definitely need to close quarters. And this is something that Mazzulla has been harping on, pretty much since he became the coach, is figuring out how to win end of quarters and also just like the margins of NBA basketball. And if you look at the end of the third quarter, right, where the Celtics ended up being, they were up by 20 points, right? This is when Tatum gets to steal, 3-on-1 fast break, bounce pass to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown fumbles it out of bounds. Looked like he was trying to go for a big dunk and just gathered too early, took his eye off the ball, right? That happens. But those are those huge momentum plays. And Tatum also arguably could have just taken that ball to the hoop. He could have thrown the alley-oop to Jaylen Brown, which is probably what Jaylen was expecting versus a low bounce pass. Or he could have kicked the ball out to Peyton Pritchard for a wide open three-pointer in the corner. Probably would have driven Celtics fans crazy. But, that was also another option there. And then it's just turnover after turnover, right? I think Porzingis has that offensive foul. I think JB had another turnover in that moment, or Tatum had another turnover, and we just don't get any good offense. A couple 3-pointers for the Knicks. That 20-point lead is 12 going into the fourth quarter, and Knicks fans just got to feel great. And that's what's been frustrating about this series, right? Is that there have been these 2-minute stretches where you're just like, all you have to do is just run basic offense and not turn the ball over. And we probably win the game by like 25 points. So that's good on you for bringing that up. All right. Next thing that I wanted to talk about in this series is Kristaps Porzingis. He has played a total of, I think, 27 minutes through 2 games in this series. Obviously, didn't play after like the first couple minutes of the second quarter in game 1, was off the bench in game 2 and didn't look good. Luke Cornett looked like the better option for the Celtics and quite frankly probably looked like this best big man for the Celtics. But with Porzingis not being who he needs to be for the Celtics, I'm just thinking like what else is out there? And this is kind of to my point earlier about the lineup adjustments that the Celtics can make. What else is out there if Porzingis is going to be giving you these measly 13, 14 minutes per game? Because it doesn't seem like he's even making an impact in the game.
Yeah.
And if this is how he's playing, I would rather just sit him down, man. Like you don't want to, if he's as ill as he seems to be, like why are we even putting him out there for 14 minutes a game? He hasn't looked good. He looks terrible on defense. The guys just are forcing the ball into him. Tatum has no idea how to throw an entry pass anymore to Porzingis. And it's just a mess.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he's really feeling like that ill and it's really impact, he probably just shouldn't be playing. We can win without him. We've won without him throughout the whole regular season. We won without him last year in the playoffs. And like trying to force minutes when he isn't 100%. Obviously, most of the Celtics, the starting Celtics aren't 100%, but like you can see it's clearly impacting like his mobility.
No worries. Alex just his mic just cut out there for a second. You are still on mute, my guy. Yeah, but I think with Porzingis, right? It's one of those things where you have this superpower, but I don't know if you watch the show Wheel of Time. For all the nerds out there that might watch the show Wheel of Time, there are these groups of people in that are called Aes Sedai. They're like witches and they can channel this one power that's out there. My fiance would be so excited that I'm making a comparison between basketball and Wheel of Time. But there's this one girl, I think her name is Nynaeve, and she loses her ability to actually wield the one power, right? But it's this like unbelievable ability that she has. But if you're unable to access that power, like why are you still trying to pretend like it's there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with Porzingis, if you're like, all right, Porzingis is out there on the court, we can still go to the superpower. But then when you pass him the ball, he has none of his powers anymore, right? He's completely powerless. So maybe it just makes more sense to play Luke Cornett, who you know exactly what you're getting from him in the 20 minutes that you play him. Because if you're just forcing the ball to Porzingis, you're expecting a superhero to show up, and the superhero doesn't have a cape.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard because I don't know if Porzingis was healthy. It's like watching the Knicks late offense. It's always a high pick and roll where they target Al Horford and then they have Brunson go one-on-one with Al. And it's not like we have anyone that can like replace Al on defense. Maybe Porzingis, but I feel like they would just do the same thing that they are currently doing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I would probably rest him.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not really making a significant impact, and just throwing him out there to throw him out there and be like, oh, he played. There's no point.
Right. No, I agree. All right. What you got next?
I'm going to break down Jason. Actually, no, I'm going to break down the Celtics shooting and that mark I talked about earlier, 8:40 to 18 seconds where they didn't make a single field goal.
Okay.
I made a video on it, but the C's shot 0 for 13 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3, and were outscored 21-4. 4 points came on 2 Derek White free throws and 2 Jason Tatum free throws. Yeah, like I said earlier, they were a lot of those shots, good looks. Even like the last shot they missed after Jaylen, the worst shot I've seen was that last pull-up jumper that Jaylen Brown took where he basically threw his arms into Brunson's face, hit the front rim. And Derek White had probably an easiest putback, way easier than in Miami in 2023, and he just missed it. It's hard watching. That's like the second time in the past 2 games where the Celtics have gone 8 minutes without making a field goal. It made me think I was watching college basketball all over again. Like that just doesn't happen, especially with an efficient offense like the Celtics. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shocking stat. I haven't seen that back-to-back. I don't know. I can't remember last time. Hopefully they get it fixed. I feel like the Celtics are due for like a like a 52% 3-point shooting game where they'll just blow the Knicks out. But I don't know if we'll get enough games to see that. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah. And when you think about the Magic series where it was an absolute slog in the closeout game, all of a sudden the gates opened, right? From that like third quarter into fourth quarter. The Celtics weren't shooting well. Like they haven't shot the ball well the entire playoffs aside from like a couple stretches. And that's kind of what this team seems to be waiting for. They're waiting for that one shot that just opens the floodgates instead of doing what they did in the Magic series where they were just like, you know what, we're going to the fucking basket and we're going to score at the rim. And that's how we're going to win this series. And it's just weird to me that they've just abandoned that as a principle when they saw that it, you know, they went from one of the worst teams in the league getting to the free throw line to one of the best teams in the league getting to the free throw line. Same thing with points in the paint in that first round. And that's what you want to see. One thing with your stat there, you know, Will posted on our Twitter. He posted he thought that 10 of the 13 shot attempts were good shot attempts. I probably think it's more like 7 or 8 were good shot attempts. You know, the Jalen one that you just mentioned over Brunson, where he's trying to draw a foul, was not a good shot attempt. Yeah. Tatum kind of throws Derek White a grenade at the end of the shot clock. I thought it was still a good look, but it was kind of like, you know, why are you passing him the ball in that moment with like 1 second left on the shot clock? Tatum's anytime you go at OG Anunoby, it's just a bad decision. Tatum trying to take OG Anunoby fade away on the baseline, highly contested. I thought that was a bad shot. Peyton Pritchard's 34-footer. Although we've seen him make that plenty of times, and he had just hit a couple threes, that just wasn't the right shot in that moment. So it's already 4, right? And then
Jalen had one more against OG, similar thing, fade away,
right?
Paint. Yeah,
right. So that's 5. Yeah. And then the one that I wanted to bring up, because actually 2 I wanted to bring up because this is where our buddy Liptak just completely disagreed. Jaylen Brown versus Jalen Brunson in the post, right? I will take that 99 times out of 100. JB get into his spot and rising up and making that little floater. And then Al Horford doing his little weird Al Horford whirling dervish thing in the post where he throws up the off balance floater hook shot, right? Both of those shots are shots that as Celtics fans, we've seen both of those guys make countless times. Did you think would you classify those as good shots or bad shots?
The Jalen one, absolutely not. I mean, that's basically what I've been wanting Tatum to do every time he got Brunson on him. Even though he missed it, just take him right to the hole. You're like 6 inches taller. Al Horford one is a little more different. I think he had Robinson on him, and it was a little farther from the basket. Yeah, Towns. So Al, I would say, I don't know, I'd take that shot. I've seen him make that 1,000 times. So it's not like he was like flailing at the end of the shot clock, just trying to throw one up. Like it was a shot that he felt comfortable with, and he took it. So I'd say both those shots were fine, and I'd live with them.
And then the final one is the Tatum wide open 3-pointer. Obviously, it's tough, right? Because you want your superstar to be confident taking that shot. When you think about the very first play of the game, when Tatum gets a wide open 3 and passes it up and passes to Drew Holiday, which was just like a harbinger of things to come in that game. Because he also had Jaylen Brown wide open under the basket, right? We could have just fired it in for a layup because we just needed something to go in. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Maybe you can make an argument, but I would say 8 out of 13 of those shots are shots that I'm completely fine with, to Joe Mazzulla's point about getting good looks. But I still think we need to get some easy buckets in the fourth quarter, man. And it's up to Joe to figure out a way to manufacture those easy buckets that aren't just these do or die by the 3.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he makes that 3, we're like, oh, what a great shot.
Right.
So I'm not going to.
I want Tatum taking that shot.
Yeah, I mean, he was wide open. He makes that. Yeah. Actually, well, I don't know. I feel like sometimes he shoots better contested than uncontested, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, I mean, it's tough watching such an efficient 3-point team not be able to make a 3, but maybe they'll figure it out in game 3.
All right, you're up next. Passing the rock. What you got?
We'll continue talking about JT, and then I have one more after that. But JT in this series, 18 points per game, 29% from the field, 25% from 3, average over 30 against the Magic. So it's interesting against a weaker defense. I know before this series started, everyone was like, Bridges and OG can't match up with JB and JT, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it to a
great.
T. So it's interesting going up against the Magic, who are, I believe, the third best defense, something like that, top 3, top 5. And he played so well, and now he's playing so poorly against the team that he dominated. I don't know. It's hard to see.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. OG is just one of those guys that I think has always given Tatum problem, where Tatum turns into more of a facilitator when he sees OG in front of him. Like when OG was on the Raptors, if you look at Tatum's numbers against the Raptors when OG was guarding him, they were never great, right? He was always high assist games, didn't really want that problem. And I don't blame him, man. OG Anunoby, I think he's a top 3 defender in the league, and on the wing. So can't blame JT for that, but you can blame him for a lot of other things. Like anytime he has Karl Towns or Mitchell Robinson on him, he should be able to get by them, but he hasn't. His first step has looked sluggish. He's looked indecisive in his movement. Same with Jaylen Brown. They're just like dancing with the ball on the perimeter. And it's just like, make a quick fucking decision. It's either pass and cut. It's either catch the ball and drive to the basket, hard jab step and go. It's enough of this 4 jab step. Maybe I'm going to shoot a 3 to try and get you to commit and then go by you. You're a more athletic, faster individual. Fucking go by them. And if OG Anunoby is scaring you at the basket, because the OG is great as a weak side defender as well, then you have that little like snake step that Tatum does, where it looks like he's about to jump and he does a little side step around him. You have so many things at your disposal, Jason Tatum. I need you to tap into that. We get a comment from our guy, Rob version 1. Shout out to Rob. He says, in my opinion, when protecting a lead, JT should put his head down, drive, and actually go for the dunk. Leave the threes to the others. Need to recognize that they are in a fourth quarter slump now. Try living at the line. Very similar to kind of what I just said. Totally agree with you, Rob. The one thing that I was thinking about this, because Tatum almost looks like he has the yips around the rim right now. Maybe it's the wrist, that he's scared to take contact and fall onto that wrist, and therefore he's like shying away from the contact, when normally, I mean, we've seen him just be a bully near the basket this year. His numbers near the basket are great. In the playoffs, they haven't been great, especially since he hurt that wrist. So that's the one thing I'm concerned about with him, is how much that wrist is actually affecting his mentality about driving to the hoop. But appreciate you, Rob. You're always commenting on the videos, and great perspective as always. Alex, I'm going to kick it to you, since Rob, I'm going to say Rob took my spot in passing the rock. What's your last one?
Yeah, and we're talking about Bridges and OG playing great defense. They're holding players to 28.3% from the field and 22.3% from 3. I mean, that's basically it. The like I said earlier, one of the main talking points, that they couldn't match up. And not only are they matching up well, they're excelling in their matchups, and they're playing great defense. So
they've been awesome. They've been the 2 best wings in this series.
Yeah. I think, for Jason Tatum's perspective, like when he starts the game and he settles for a 3, he's a completely different player than when he starts the game driving downhill. I think all he needs is to see one basket go in, and then he just is like a different player. I don't know. That's my opinion. But Bridges and OG locking up JB and JT.
Yeah, and then Bridges has also been really good anytime he's had Porzingis on him. First play of the game or second play of the game in game 1, I think he bothered him at the rim. In game 2, he also blocked him in the mid post, and KP was clamoring for a foul, but it seemed like it was good defense. Rob just has a follow-up comment here. I think it's the wrist. That's why I never wanted Orlando this year or Miami last year. Greg, do you think with KP and Sam's troubles, is it time for Joe to play someone else like Craig or Baylor? So, Rob, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the pod, but I brought up the series in 2017 where the Celtics went down 2-0 to the Bulls, and that's when Brad Stevens inserted Gerald Green into the starting lineup. So that's kind of how we started the pod, was just wondering if there is somebody else that you can throw out there. I don't think it's Baylor. I love Baylor Shireman, but to me, that just reeks of desperation throwing Baylor Shireman out there. Torrey Craig is someone that I've thought about for sure, especially in end of game situations. It's just Joe doesn't like guys who can't shoot and can't rim run, right? And Torrey Craig can't do either of those things. He's not a good screener. So, he's a good defender. So like end of game situation, I think there's an argument he's a better defender than Al Horford out in the perimeter. Like maybe you throw him out there for a minute, but you're really going to put the season on Torrey Craig in that moment.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. Maybe just give him a shot. I agree with you. I think he's one of those guys. Like you got him for a reason. Maybe throw him out there. He's a proven playoff guy. So I personally would like to see that. But this is the same thing with O'Shea Brissett last year. We were just wondering if Joe was going to trust him, and Torrey Craig is very similar, skill set, measurables, everything to O'Shea Brissett, and O'Shea didn't see any action last year. So if I know Joe Mazzulla, he's not going to do that. And that brings me to my last thing here in Passing the Rock is Joe Mazzulla. The most frustrating thing for me about this series is that Tom Thibodeau has completely outcoached Joe Mazzulla. I think the game plan on Jalen Brunson has been great. I love how the Celtics have guarded Brunson. He hasn't gotten off aside from that one stretch in the fourth quarter of game one. I think the Celtics have guarded him better than I think I've seen anybody guard him. They have bodies and gaps. Drew Holiday has been a menace, picking him up pretty much 3/4 court, forcing him, and they're not falling for his fakes. Everybody is staying down. I think Jaylen Brown got caught one time.
Yeah, he did.
Drew Holiday, obviously the very last play of the game where that's where Drew shines. Those are the moments for Drew Holiday. And he gambled against a guy that you probably can't gamble against. Yeah. And he ended up fouling him. Right. So I think the initial game plan for Mazzulla was we're going to take Jalen Brunson out of this series and we're going to make other guys beat us. And other guys have beaten us. So straight up. The Knicks other guys have beaten us. As we said earlier, they've had 4 of the 5 best players in this series through two games, right? The thing that drove me crazy was the fouling of Mitchell Robinson in game 2. Like Thibodeau baiting you into following Mitchell Robinson is just pathetic. Like I'm screaming at the TV. Like you're willingly putting them in the bonus with 3 minutes left. Like, what are you doing? OG Anunoby's on the bench. Let's take advantage of that. Let's leave OG Anunoby on the bench, and maybe we can get Tatum into some action without OG disrupting a play. Like, there's so many ways. And then Thibodeau was just like, thank you for allowing us to get into the bonus here. And maybe we, if we're not in the bonus there, maybe we wrap up Jalen Brunson on the last play before he gets into his shooting motion. It was just really pathetic, honestly, for a guy that I've really grown to love, and Joe Mazzulla. I just thought the idea of following Mitchell Robinson to willingly put them in the bonus was one of the stupidest coaching decisions I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I found it a little bit surprising, especially in game 1 where they were doing it in the first half. Like they were doing it in the second quarter. I get that he's a bad free throw shooter, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's an interesting strategy. I guess maybe he thinks sending a guy to the line and not letting them have a possession and is better than letting them have a possession. But at the same time, after he gets subbed out of the game, now they're just in the bonus. And every foul's 2 free throws. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. Plus, when you willingly foul someone, like they did in game 1, Cornette fouled him twice, and then boom, he had 4 fouls in the second quarter. Like, it's really like, I don't understand the mindset. I guess I do a little bit, but at the same time, you have to think about more than just the present when you're intentionally fouling someone, because those fouls linger on and then they change your coaching decisions for the rest of the game.
Right. And maybe this is, to Rob's point about throwing in a Craig or throwing in a Baylor. Yeah. Maybe it's just for the fouls. If that's the strategy that you really want to do, maybe you just throw somebody out there who's not part of your actual rotation. Yeah. One guy, I don't think he's the answer at all. Is there any world, if Porzingis is out, that we see, Anemias Queta?
I don't know. I don't think so. He could provide a little bit of energy, but other than that, I don't really know. I don't see it.
It'd have to be with Brunson on the bench, right? So you'd probably put him out there in Cornette's minutes, but Cornette has been okay. Yeah. Cornette's inability to finish in these playoffs he looks like squirrely around the basket. He had that one in the first half where he had a wide open dunk and he just didn't dunk it. He just tried to put it in the hoop and he missed it. He ended up getting it going a little bit in the second half. I thought he played much better in game 2 than in game 1, but I don't know, man. It's just like all this talk about the Celtics having depth. Hauser, who plays 12 minutes a game, and Porzingis, obviously, who we haven't really been able to count on. Those 2 guys go down and you realize how thin we actually are.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you got? Looking forward to game 3 or any bows you want to put on game 2?
I don't know. Game 2 was hard. But at the same time, I feel like you take a little bit of time and you realize you're not out yet. I mean, they're basically playing for their season on Saturday at 3:30, so my eyes will be glued to the television then. I don't know. I saw a stat that said no champion since 2019 has made it past the second round.
Right.
So, like, I get it's hard, but at the same time, this is a team that I was confident we would win in 5. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
This is a team that we dominated in the regular season. And in that last game, we had half our team out, and still we beat them. So, like,
and that's the thing. Like, KP was awesome in that last game. Like, what is this illness, man? That is just keep popping up. Does he have long COVID?
I don't know.
Mono? I don't know what's going on with KP. It's really alarming, man. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Let's see. So I know you had a couple things. We're probably not going to go much longer than the next 10 minutes for everybody that's watching right now. You had some thoughts on overall NBA playoffs. So what you got for me?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very exciting. I'll say if I was a casual fan that didn't have any connection to any of these teams, I would be enjoying these NBA playoffs, especially the second round. The Cavs-Pacers series has been fun. If I was a Cavs fan, I think their loss in game 2 was way more brutal than ours. Like they completely blew that game in a matter of 30 seconds. Out. Yeah, I'm not sure. Mobley was out too, and someone else was out. Yeah, Hunter was out. And to like lose a game where you're up 7 with 33 seconds left, and have Tyrese Haliburton hit a step back 3 and then do like the big ball celebration on your home court was absolutely crazy. At the same time, I think the Pacers are kind of getting the same breaks as the Celtics. As the Knicks. I mean, they're playing better offensively, but at the same time, they're getting a little bit lucky. So I feel like the Cavs are due for a win today. We will see if that happens. But I keep getting these videos on my TikTok saying Cavs and Celtics fans signing like a peace treaty because they can't let a Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Finals happen.
Right, man. So, it's just when you think about the teams that are left, it's like Celtics are clearly the best team. Yeah. Especially like the breaks that are happening with the Cavs series. Like if Garland's not healthy, like that Cavs team is not the same team whatsoever. Yeah. The Pacers have been the team I've been scared of all season. After last year, especially, after the first 2 games against the Knicks, the Pacers do not stop. They will go 48 minutes and they will play until the final buzzer. And I was texting you guys. I was just like, I think even if we beat the Knicks, we lose to the Pacers. I just don't think that this Celtics team necessarily has it. They don't look like they have the resolve that they've had in previous years. But, I thought they were dead in the water against the Heat a couple of years ago. They forced a game 7. JT obviously sprains his ankle. So we've seen this team do it. Yeah. If they win game 3, I think I feel good. I think I'm like, all right, I can see a world in which the Celtics win 4 straight. But it all comes down to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And if they don't turn it around, then there's no way. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the playoffs has been fun, man. I think I definitely want to tune in. I didn't watch the Minnesota Golden State game last night because Steph was hurt, and I was like, it's going to be a blowout, and I'm glad I didn't waste any time there. Same thing happened with OKC and Denver. Denver did their business, and they took game 1. So game 2, I'm like, OKC is going to blow them out. That's exactly what happened. And I thought that was going to happen in the Celtics game too. The Knicks did their business, and it looked like the Knicks scored 12 points in the first quarter of game 1. And it looked like the Celtics should have been up 30 in that one. And it just didn't happen. So yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun, these playoffs. I still think the Celtics are the second best team in these playoffs. I think OKC is the best team. Yeah. So we'll see, man. It sucks that Curry's out. It sucks that in the playoffs people get hurt, but that's the reality of it. It happens every year.
Yeah. I thought it was like the amount of players the Warriors played. I only watched a quarter and a half because after that it was like a 20-point game. I turned it off, but they had Kevin Knox in the game. They had Pat Spencer. Kuminga was their best player, actually, who has been getting DMPs throughout all the playoffs. And I think he had 17 points. I don't even know if he missed a shot.
He was 8 for 11, 18 points, 5 rebounds last night. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like without Curry, the Warriors have no chance. Like they absolutely have no chance. And
Yeah, that
if the
roster's
Lakers
pretty bleak when you take Curry out of it.
So like, I mean, and then Draymond, I don't know. He was complaining about people making him seem like he's crazy, but he now has, I think, 5 technicals and 2 flagrants in 10 games. So I'm not
Has he
really
ever
sure.
watched tape of himself?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Like
He's such a narcissist. I figured he would, but
I don't know. Like he clearly he got a dead ball technical foul yesterday because like Naz Reid fouled him, and then after Naz Reid knocked the ball out of his hands, he does a classic flail and elbows him right in the face, and he just
yeah,
I mean, and then he goes up to the ref right after he gets a technical foul and just starts like pointing at him and telling him like that's bullshit. And I draw back to when like Tatum like claps and he gets a technical foul.
right.
And I'm like, there's like, I get that he's a veteran and he's been in the league for a while, but there's like, if Tatum ever did that or like any other star player did that, they're probably tossed. So I don't know. He's just an instigator.
Yeah, he's an instigator. All right. You went to the Metallica concert. I'm not a huge Metallica fan. Respect what they've done. Give me a quick summary of the concert.
It was good. I'm also not really a huge Metallica fan. Virginia Tech plays Enter Sandman as like their like pregame song for football.
Okay.
So we went for that. Unfortunately, it was at the end of a 2.5-hour concert, so we were there for quite a long time.
You go with your girlfriend?
No, I went with my roommate Nick.
Okay. Shout out.
We got tickets, and they were good tickets. It was actually we caused like a little seismic. We were on the seismic scale when they played Enter Sandman. It was cool. I mean, they've been trying to get Metallica to come to Virginia Tech for about 20 years. Finally did it. And then it made me think, because there was 3 different generations there. There were like people like in their like mid 50s, 60s, and there's like college kids, and then there's like little kids. Mm-hmm. So then I made me think like, is this what rappers are gonna do in like 20 years? Am I gonna bring my kids to like a rap concert and like they're gonna be like jamming out? I don't know, but it was pretty awesome. They had like a little snake pit, so the stage was a circle. That's and cool. Like the speakers was very loud. It was cool. It was pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been to a Metallica concert. I've never that whole genre of music. It's never really been my jam. Yeah, but the old rapper thing, it'll be interesting to see.
It will be.
They're still out there because I mean, the thing about rap music is it's not as like old of a genre as some of the other, right? Yeah. So like just because you hadn't seen old rappers in like the early 2000s, right, when like just after the golden era of hip hop, there's no reason why that can't be a thing in the future. It's just like something that hasn't been done before because people just weren't old enough to be rapping at that time. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. I think Nelly is probably like that family friendly rapper that can bridge some generations. Yeah. Like anytime a Nelly song comes on at a wedding, like my generation just fucking loses it. Like Hot in Here came on at my buddy Joe Higgins' wedding out in Cali a couple weeks ago. And it was everything. Like people were just like, finally a song that we can like get grimy to. Like, are there going to be people grinding in the corner again? Like what's going on?
Yeah. I don't know. The Metallica, like my dad is a big Metallica fan. He's in a band himself. He's in multiple bands and he plays guitar. Cool. And so he's going to see them in DC. But that genre of music is like, it's kind of like filled with like rage. It's like anger. Mm-hmm. And you could feel it when you were at that concert, and you could like see like the other people around us. And I didn't really know any of the other songs other than Enter Sandman, so I was just kind of watching. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. For the first 30 minutes after the Celtics game, I was like this, and I didn't say a word, and I was kind of standing there. But I mean, it was fun. That genre of music, I think they have some good songs. I know my dad plays them. He loves seeing them. It was fun to go to.
Cool. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Green with Envy, another edition of Coffee and Celtics brought to you by Wood Island Media. Celtics play tomorrow, Saturday, in Madison Square Garden at 3:30.
It's going to be rocking.
It's going to be rocking. I'm excited. Predictions, game 3, Celtics pull it out?
Yeah, I think they pull it out by 20. I think
Let's
the Knicks get.
fucking go.
I think the Knicks get hot early, and I think that crowd gets buzzing. But as soon as that initial energy dies down, the road dogs come out and they show where they're the second best road team in NBA history. So
Love it. Love it. I agree with you. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Go Seas. Thanks, Alex.
no problem.